Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Fairview Church podcast. Pastor Devin here. I'm actually getting a chance to drive for once, and I've got Pastor Tyler here. Topic of discussion today is all about the members meeting. We have our first members meeting coming up on March 30th. We would love for people to come in to participate, but we thought we'd kind of, peel the curtain back a bit and say what this whole thing's about. And so,
March 30th. 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock in the worship center. That's it. So, that begs the question, Tyler.
Does it beg it?
It begs for it.
It begs for it.
What is a members meeting? What are we doing?
Yeah, well, we have the March 30th date set aside. We have on this annual calendar for our church, we've got 3 members meetings that are already scheduled, and we hopefully will, at least tentatively planning on having it probably around 3 a year, and then if any time another members meeting needs to be called for something specific, and we'll talk about content and things here in a few minutes, but we can always call another members meeting for something specific. What is a members meeting, though? A members meeting is exactly what the title of it says it is. It is for the church members, those who have covenanted together here at Fairview Church and said, this is my church, this is my local church. I'm taking ownership of this local church. I'm taking ownership of what we do as a local church. And at these member meetings, the members are gathering for various but yet specific content.
Sure. So it's not getting in there for a free-for-all, or we have an agenda.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, first of all, just to be very broad first and then work our way more narrow, it's a Sunday afternoon gathering, but it is uniquely different than a Sunday morning gathering.
Right.
So you're walking into a members meeting, you're not gathering to worship in the same sense that you just did on that Sunday morning, Sunday, the March 30th date. It's a different type gathering. However, that doesn't excuse or mean that worship is absent.
Sure.
We still are gathering as the people, again, covenanted together people that have membership at Fairview Church, and there's an aspect of worship. So you think about members meetings, and a lot of people who maybe have a church background, they've been to and probably even have really bad memories or stories about business meetess.
Sure.
So we could call this a business meeting, but it's much more than a business meeting. It's certainly not less.
Right.
There's business involved. For example, March 30th, we're introducing bylaw revisions that we're going to be giving to our folks, and we're going to be resourcing them. There's an element of business that they're going to be given that resource, those revisions, proposed revisions, but then they're going to have all the way till August before we actually do business on those revisions.
Sure.
So it is a business meeting, but it's not supposed to be like the old school, oh my goodness, I'm gathering to listen to anybody and everybody say whatever they want to say.
Sure.
So absolutely, when you walk through the doors, you're going to be provided an agenda, and it's a very purposeful agenda.
Great. So we've kind of covered somewhat of what not to expect. So yes, we're still gathering to worship, but maybe we're not having a song service, we're not having a sermon per se.
Right.
But we're still having very purposeful time as the collected body, like you said, who've covenanted together to do business and other things. So if it's not those things, and it's also not strictly just a business meeting.
Right.
But within that, though, what might we expect? You mentioned an agenda we'll receive. Kind of paint the picture of what we should expect from a members meeting.
Yeah, a few categories that are going to be fairly common at pretty much all members meetings. We're going to hear committee and various teams' reports and updates. I say that, I'll get more specific. We have a finance committee, so we're going to get an update regarding our financials.
Yeah.
What's going on in the world of stewardship? That's not just a financial report. That's not just a statement of, here's where we were last quarter, here's where we were last year. Even though that may be a part of the presentation, this is also, here's where we were and here's how we think through the monies at Fairview Church. Here's our principles at play when we do have decisions or thought processes. It could be, here is what we need to bring as a finance committee to the congregation because we need the congregation's input for what to do with certain areas or conversations of money. So in a lot of ways, and I know I'm getting very specific now, I need to go back just a step. A lot of ways, every component in a member's meeting is still the discipleship of the local church. We're still equipping our people as to how to think well about different topics, different practices of the local church. Money's just being one. We've got a personnel committee that we have, for just a great example, we've got a brand new student minister coming May of this year. Well, that's going to be something that our personnel committee is going to be able to state, give the information, give the communication, because isn't that a hot topic in church world? Communication.
Sure.
So we want to communicate well, and we want to have an avenue for that communication. Well, the members' meeting will be one of the avenues that we can communicate different things. Personnel committee, we've got a buildings and grounds team. And there's always something going on with our facilities. But it's good for our church body. It's good for our members to know what has happened, what are future goals, and even maybe how they can get, the everyday church member, get more plugged in now with having understanding and knowledge of what is to come and what's needed.
Sure.
Just other examples. We've got ministry reports. We've got committee reports. You're going to hear from the staff talking about a few updates. We're going to have a whole section dedicated to membership. So thinking through Fairview's past practices. On Sunday mornings, you have, as a church member, heard, and a lot of times you, Pastor Devin, call the church to order, present new potential members, and the church body has casted a vote.
Right.
We're going to transition all that business to the members' meetings.
Got it.
So new members coming in, folks that may be desiring to release their membership for different reasons, we're going to journey through all those details. And then there's an opportunity at every members meeting for business. Business that we, either as a staff, pastors, committees, that we need to bring forward to the body, or the body may want to bring up for conversation or discussion.
I got you.
So we have all those kind of components that are, you're going to be normal components, but from members meeting to members meeting, depending on the details, it may just look and sound a little different.
Sure. So it sounds like there's going to be presenting of a lot of information, so it's going to be a lot of receiving from the congregation standpoint. Will the congregation have any opportunity to ask questions or to have any sort of feedback or input in the meeting itself?
Yes. So visualize this. In the worship center, we will be set up as far as if I'm moderating and journeying us through this agenda, I'm going to be set up in the front. And then in the crowd, among the chairs, we're going to have microphones. When the personnel committee gives their report and they conclude, then I'm going to ask the question, are there any questions for the personnel committee? And all throughout the meeting, there'll be the opportunity to ask questions. Even the business time, it's going to be, hey, does anybody have new business? So there will be opportunity to ask questions. There will be lots of opportunity for our church members to engage the information that they're hearing.
Sure.
Now, a few details regarding that. I said earlier that it's not a Sunday morning gathering, and it's certainly not.
Sure.
But there's no absence of worship. There's no removal of who we are as the people of God. So that does mean that even how we present the information and how questions are asked or statements of recommendations are given, the manner in which those are stated is so important.
Yeah.
We don't want to be attacking our own body, our own people. We don't want to be questioning with assumptions that people are doing things unethically behind the scenes. If they are, that needs to come to light, but it needs to come to light in a very positive,
Right.
Christ-honoring, biblically driven type principles. But yes, absolutely, a chance to speak, a chance to engage the information, and a chance for people to be heard in a very healthy,
Sure.
correct manner.
And just one point of clarification, or the requirement for asking a question is you have to ask it over a microphone. Like, that is going to be...
Have to.
It is absolutely have to. I don't care how loud you think you are. Everyone has to use a microphone to
Yes.
ask a question.
Yes.
So if you're mic shy, you have to get over if you want to ask a question. So, well, I want to ask just kind of more of a general question. So why do we need this? Why are we doing this? What's the big why behind this?
Yeah, a few reasons. One, from just a basic theological answer to this question, we as Baptists, we believe in what's called congregationalism. Mm-hmm. And what that means is, on the theological realm of things, there is the belief of the priesthood of all believers. So I love this in the sense of, I am not a priest as a different denomination may view that.
Right.
I'm not holding confession to things. We believe theologically that we are all priests and we all have direct access to the Father.
Absolutely.
And so, since that's the case, and since every church member has the same outpouring of the Holy Spirit in them, there is the ability, and there is truly the action in our bylaws and all of our governing documents that show how it is our congregation who holds the ability to understand, the ability to assist in even casting vision and purpose for who we are as a local church, the ability to exercise authority in membership, who we allow in the body, who we release from the body. All of those things in a very practical theological aspect is the practice that you're going to see and experience when you come to a members meeting. So that's a theological realm. On a very practical aspect of things. And I'm thinking through this from a leadership perspective. I'm thinking through this for a local church perspective. Members meetings will provide an opportunity that other gatherings just don't provide. Mm-hmm. For example, conversations regarding why we do what we do. Those type conversations are going to come up in members meetings. Yep. Conversations about what are we expecting from our church members when it comes to the discipleship pathway we want to lay out for them? What are we expecting from our church members when it comes to Sunday morning gatherings and a member engaging with or knowing how to engage with a visitor? That's not something we expound on in the Sunday morning worship gathering.
Sure.
However, at a members meeting, we're going to be very purposeful in aiding and equipping those types of conversation. So we are coming together in a collaborative aspect and effort to say we together are taking ownership of Fairview Church, not just in a very theoretical aspect, but in a very practical, purposeful aspect. We're in this together, so there's ownership with who we are and what we do. Because I know that lots of people have had different church experiences, or maybe this is the first church experience for a lot of people. But at Fairview Church, we want to build a culture where everybody can say, that's my church. Mm-hmm. I love my church. And we're not having comments like, well, that's Pastor Devin over there doing that thing. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with it. But no, we're collectively together. We've collectively taken ownership of these things. And so at our members' meetings, we're going to see these things not just fleshed out in practice, but oftentimes explained. And we just don't have the opportunity to have these type conversations in other gatherings.
Absolutely. No, that's really helpful. Well, I don't really have any other questions I don't think we've covered, but is there anything else that maybe you want to speak to top of mind that we haven't covered so far about members' meetings?
Yeah, I think just two things, because it seems to be topics of conversations that I've dealt with as far as talking about these things theoretically and in practice. The topic of church discipline is a topic that is easily a topic that you don't really want to talk about a lot, but it's very much biblical and it's very good and healthy. Church discipline, when done correctly and done in a biblical perspective, leads to reconciliation and repentance. Yeah. And according to the principles of Matthew 18, we see that there is a point in church discipline where the entire congregation is brought into the conversation. We would not want to do that in our Sunday morning gatherings.
Sure.
Our members' meetings would allow us to address those type of situations in a very more conducive manner and setting. So church discipline, as much as it is a difficult topic to journey through, a members' meeting gives us the opportunity to address those type things.
Absolutely. Well, and just a point maybe to set some folks' mind at ease, there are many steps in the church discipline practice before it would come to a point of you're never going to show up to a meeting and be sprung upon with church discipline. There will be many conversations that leads up to that. So maybe to take a little bit of the potential fear if you just don't know what the process looks like. Nothing to fear. So, great. Anything else?
One last thing. A lot of people connect Robert's Rules of Order to such business meetings or different organizational meetings. And I'll just tell you, in seminary, I had to read the 7th edition of Robert's Rules of Order.
Enthralling.
Oh, it was beautiful. Helped me go to sleep many nights. I just want to state this. Organization is good at a members' meeting. And Robert's Rules allow for a little bit of organization. But I want to be very clear for the expectations when folks arrive. I don't follow, and when I'm the moderator, and whomever I would train up to also take some of those moderator responsibilities, I don't follow Robert's Rules exactly. Rather, you'll hear me refer to Bob's Rules.
Yeah.
Bob's Rules.
Good old Bobby.
Because we're a local church, and Robert's Rules were not made specifically for the local church.
Sure.
So we already have parameters. We already have things biblically that we know trump, if you will, the Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah.
So we use Bob's Rules just to help guide us into organization, into an aspect of order.
That makes a lot of sense. Great. Well, I'm excited to see Bob's Rules play out. It's going to be great. Well, I think that does it, at least to get us an idea before we actually see this thing happen in a couple weeks. Whenever this comes out, just remember, the first members meeting is coming up on March 30th at 5 o'clock in the Worship Center. We definitely want to see you all there. If you're watching this after that, there's another one coming up. So take a look at this so you know what to expect. But with that, we hope that you all have a wonderful week leading up to that. Be thinking of these things. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to come talk to Pastor Tyler or myself or Pastor John or any of the staff members. We'd be happy to engage with you and just look forward to seeing this all play out. But with that, we hope you have a great week. Goodbye.